Hey there geeks, it's Baka here. Marvel Comics has been creating riveting stories for the last 75 years. From touching stories of families to intergalactic battles. The heroes of the Marvel Universe have done it all. Today, we'll be looking at some of my favorites. And needless to say, there are spoilers ahead. This is Baka's top 5 Marvel Comics stories of all time. Number 5, Fatal Attractions. This is the storyline that got me hooked on comics. Amidst all the buckles and pouches that made up comics in the 90s, Marvel managed to create a compelling story that would have lasting repercussions. This crossover event stretched across X-Factor, X-Force, Uncanny X-Men, X-Men, Wolverine, and Excalibur. Magneto, disgusted by how mutants had been treated by the humans, decides to form his own nation of mutants, recruiting members throughout the comics X-Factor and X-Force. This comes to a pinnacle in Uncanny X-Men when Magneto crashes the funeral of Illyana Rasputin. Things almost come to a head then and there until Colossus, distraught from his sister's death, decides to join Magneto in his asteroid base. The story reaches its peak in X-Men number 25, when, after Magneto kills thousands by shifting the Earth's axis, Professor Xavier takes a team into space to deal with his old friend once and for all. The battle ends when Magneto tears the adamantium from Wolverine's skeleton, and Professor X takes Magneto's mind from him. This decision would come back to haunt the Marvel Universe as it planted the seed for onslaught and the sacrifice of nearly all non-mutant heroes. Number 4, Secret Wars. What happens when a godlike being known as the Beyonder brings together all the major heroes and villains of the Marvel Universe and makes them fight to the death? It's an all-out brawl that hadn't been seen in comics before. The part of the story that makes it so significant is that this is where Spider-Man finds and wears a familiar black suit. Without Secret Wars, there would be no Venom, no Carnage, and unfortunately no emo Spider-Man. Number 3, Planet Hulk. The angrier the Hulk gets, the stronger he gets. Marvel's Illuminati, at that time made up of Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Namor, and Professor X, decided that for both the safety of the world and for a little peace for Bruce Banner, they would lure him into a spacecraft and send him to a peaceful planet from which he could never return. This would have possibly turned out really well if the ship hadn't gone off course and crash-landed on the planet Sakaar, a world of oppression, gladiatorial combat, and death. Not exactly what the Illuminati had planned. The Hulk ends up becoming a slave gladiator and is eventually forced to fight a captured Silver Surfer. Following this, the Hulk goes on the run from the Red King and is hunted down by Kyra, the King's top lieutenant. After a fight against a parasitic alien known as the Spikes, think Halo's Flood, Kyra joins the Hulk in his fight against the Red King. Once victorious, the Hulk becomes King of Sakaar and takes Kyra as his wife. But you know a monster can't have a happy ending. Seemingly out of nowhere, the nuclear drive in the Hulk shuttle melts down, killing many of the capital's residents, including Kyra. The Hulk vows vengeance on those he thinks are responsible, the Illuminati. This story would have wide-reaching repercussions as the Hulk would invade New York and defeat all those who opposed him until he ultimately sacrificed his power to keep the Earth from splitting in half. Number 2, Civil War. If you thought heroes like Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic were jerks thanks to the events of Planet Hulk, their involvement in Marvel's Civil War takes that to a whole new level. Happening at the same time as the events in Planet Hulk, this story follows Tony Stark's effort to enforce a Superhuman Registration Act. If any superpowered individual failed to register, they would be detained and imprisoned in the mysterious Project 42, a prison created by Reed Richards in the Negative Zone. This concept did not sit well with Captain America, who led the forces in opposition to Iron Man. Loyalties were tested and families were divided. As a show of faith to Iron Man, Peter Parker outed himself as Spider-Man, though he would later see the errors of his decision and side with Captain America. After seeing what the Civil War was doing not only to the heroes of the Marvel Universe, but to the innocent bystanders as well, Captain America surrendered himself, a decision that would soon lead to his assassination. The effects of Civil War are still being felt in comics and will even be the source material for 2016's movie Captain America: Civil War. Number 1. Days of Future Past. Ask any comic fan what the most important X-Men story of all time is, and nearly everyone will say Days of Future Past. Its popularity is so massive that it was the basis for the motion picture of the same name, 33 years after its publication. The story begins in an alternate future where Sentinels have captured or killed nearly all of Earth's mutant population. A small rebel force comprised of such mutants as Wolverine, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Magneto, and Rachel Summers form a plan to send Kitty's mind back through time to her teenage body in order to stop the assassination of Senator Kelly, the act which precipitated the War on Mutants. As this act is being carried out, Wolverine sacrifices himself in order to buy Rachel and Kitty the time they need. This is perhaps the most well-known image in the X-Men's history. Kitty arrives in the past and with the help of the other X-Men is able to stop Mystique from carrying out her assassination attempt. Kitty's mind is pulled back to her own time, leaving the X-Men to wonder if the plan was a success. In the movies, Days of Future Past was able to cleanly tie the original X-Men trilogy into the newer universe of movies, cleaning up continuity issues and creating a cohesive story. So there you have it, geeks. These are my top 5 Marvel comic stories of all time. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're at it, you can do the whole like, subscribe, and share thing. Until next time, this is Baka telling you to keep it geeky.